Let's talk about Bank of America product change. How do you do it right? I want to share with you the latest hacks you need to really implement right now if you want to have if you want to process a Bank of America product change properly. So here's an overview I want you to pay attention to. So when we think about Bank of America credit cards or bank accounts or what have you, it's important to really understand that it's all about your financial situation, right? It's all about your relationship with the bank and also your financial situation. So there are three things I want you to really think about before actually doing a Bank of America product change upgrade. Think about your financial situation, think about your relationship with the bank, and think about your direct deposit situation. In other words, are you receiving direct deposit into a Bank of America account, or are you receiving elsewhere? Because this is going to really give information, if you will, to Bank of America about your cash inflows. So because they already have your bank account, so they have the cash outflows, but the direct deposit will really play an important role in terms of giving more transparency into your cash inflows. So it's important to really understand that when we talk about your financial situation, it's all about your assets and your liabilities. It has nothing to do with it's not about the kind of debts you have with Bank of America, but it's all about the debts you have in general. So with Bank of America, but also with other lenders. So we're speaking about credit cards, we're speaking about lines of credits, we're speaking about loans or what have you. And it's one of those things where when we talk about your financial situation, we are speaking about your net worth. So your assets minus your liabilities. So that's number one. Number two, what is your history with Bank of America? How long have you had accounts with them? Do you have personal accounts? Do you have business accounts? Do you have family accounts? Do you have accounts for your children? So what is the depth and breadth of the relationship you currently have with Bank of America? This will actually constitute one of the layers upon which the reviewer, if you will base his or her decision when approving your Bank of America product change. And the third thing I want to say here is that when we talk about direct deposit is really also important in terms of making sure that you are considering Bank of America as one of your top banks. Because we're not just thinking about Bank of America for credit card purposes or loan purposes, but also for other stuff, for insurance, for instance, for brokerage also. By the way, boss, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. Make yourself comfortable. You are going to enjoy today's conversation. I want to give you the steps you need to really think about when we upgrade a Bank of America credit card, for instance. Okay, one thing I want to say here is that if you want to actually request a product change with Bank of America, you'll need to call the customer service number listed on the back of your card, and you should have any identified information about your current card ready to go and ask for the specific card you'd like to switch to. And the entire process can be completed over the phone, not a problem. You can do it online too, even though they prefer to have it over the phone. That way they can hear your voice and they can ask some questions to make sure that you are really you, okay? And so some Bank of America customers have actually reported success requesting a card upgrade or downgrade by using the bank's online chat feature, but we actually recommend sticking to a phone conversation to streamline the entire process. And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about eligibility, to ensure you qualify for a new Bank of America card, your account will be reviewed. However, there is no credit check with the Bank of America product change, so you won't have to worry about having a hard pull showing up on your credit report, and also having like losing 10 or 15 points in the process. Okay, so there's no hard pull here in terms of eligibility. So when you switch, what happens here, what happens is that when you switch to a new product with the same bank, you typically have to meet a series of requirements to ensure you are eligible, especially since the issuer is not pulling your credit score to check your credit worthiness, right? And for the most part, as long as you have demonstrated a history of on-time payments, your likelihood of being approved for a card upgrade or downgrade is pretty good. However, you should always consider the following requirements before filing a request. So first of all, you want to think about the type of card you want. And this is great because Bank of America, fortunately, doesn't place any restrictions on the kinds of cards you can switch between. So it's totally possible you can change from a card that offers points to one that offers cash back, not a problem. Additionally, you can move from a plain credit card with no rewards rate up to one that does offer rewards of some kind. So it's all about, so your chances of being approved will hinge upon your the three things that I said a little earlier: your financial situation, your history with the Bank of America, but also your direct deposit status. Anytime you have direct deposit with Bank of America, or any bank for that matter, you are increasing your chances of being approved for a product upgrade. So that's for sure. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Bank of America product change. How do you do it right? So when we talk about eligibility requirements, of course, I spoke to you about the type of card that you want. Another criterion you need to really pay attention to is how long you've had your current card, right? So unlike many other issuers, Bank of America doesn't place specific requirements on how long you must have your current account open before requesting a product change. Now, this is kind of this is a breather. This offers you a breather compared to Chase, for instance. Just keep in mind though that protections are in place from the Card Act. Those protections ensure that cardholders are not charged a higher annual fee on the same account in the first year of card opening. So what does this mean? This means exactly, it means that you will not be able to upgrade to a Bank of America card with a higher annual fee than your on the original until your account is open for at least a year. So it's one of those things where you might be thinking about timing in terms of how long you want to wait. But the bottom line here is that it's just a lot better to always contact Bank of America first. And what we have seen working is that you can do it over the phone, but you can also go to a branch directly, have a conversation with the rep, explain the situation, and tell them exactly what you're looking for, and they might be able to advise you as to what could work for you. And also, one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about how long you had your current card, it's not about how long you had the card, is how well you have maintained the relationship all along. I mean, if you have had the card for 1 year, but you had a crappy relationship with the Bank of America during that 12-month stretch, you are basically reducing your chances of being approved anyway. And one thing I want to say here is that it's not only how you manage the relationship on this specific card, it's how you manage the relationship with other cards that you have with Bank of America. So other credit cards that you have, or other accounts for that matter, your checking accounts, your savings accounts, or your brokerage account for that matter, and how you maintain the relationship across the board. Another important criteria that Bank of America looks at when it comes to your Bank of America product change is your account standing. Account standing is so quintessential. I mean, I've said this before, account standing is really everything. Okay, to qualify for a product change, your account should be in good standing. That means what? It means that you have a history of on-time payments, and you are a responsible credit user, if you will. And one thing we have seen also is that Bank of America, unlike Chase or Citibank, doesn't have particular rules on eligibility when it comes to late payments or spending over your credit line. So they are pretty more flexible in that sense. But to boost your chances of being approved for a product change, it's just always better to use your card responsibly. Okay, using your card responsibly could actually carry you way forward as to how when it comes to certain things, when it comes to certain benefits, when it comes to applying for new products, or when it comes to applying for other products at other banks for that matter. And what I want to say also is that Bank of America being a big bank that has branches all over the country, is just a lot better to go to a branch, have a conversation. I think I've said this before, but have a conversation with a rep and ask all questions. The reason why I'm saying this is because there are things you can ask live that you can't really ask if you were to do this over the phone. For instance, the DTI or CUR. Let's say you can ask questions about your credit utilization ratio and how it could impact your approval or denial of the Bank of America product change you are seeking versus doing it over the phone. Over the phone, you can't really ask that question. You can't go really in depth when it comes to the granularity of the questions. Okay, but this is something you can certainly do you can certainly do at a branch. You can ask questions about how your debt to income ratio could impact your ability to be approved anyway. So this is kind of cool. And one thing I also want to say is that when we talk about account standing, I just want to specify that we're not just speaking about one account. We are speaking about accounts across the board. Regardless of how many accounts you have with Bank of America, you need to make sure that your account standing in general. In other words, how Bank of America looks at you from an account, from a user perspective, you have to have an impeccable account standing as of the date of as of the date of the application here. By the way, boss, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We are having a conversation about Bank of America product change. How do you do it right? I'm sharing with you the latest hacks. I want to give you a bonus here when it comes to a Bank of America product change. And so let's talk about the benefits of upgrading or downgrading your card with Bank of America. The thing is that you might be thinking, well, downgrading doesn't sound right. Upgrading sounds better, but there are cases where it could be a lot more beneficial for you to consider an upgrade, or consider a downgrade. Now, Bank of America offers many great credit cards, including Platinum cards with no rewards rate, all the way up to a premium travel card. So if your spending habits have changed, it's likely that Bank of America has another card that better suits your needs. It really depends upon your lifestyle, but also your family's lifestyle. And the biggest benefit of requesting a product change with Bank of America, instead of canceling your card or applying for a new card with another issuer, is that you can preserve your account history and avoid a hard pull to your credit. So this is kind of cool. And the beauty of this is that both of these things benefits your credit score, and you will also preserve it while finding a card that is better for you. And let me give you an example. Consider you applied for the Bank Americard credit card for its relatively low interest rates and generous balance transfer offer. 2 years down the road, your introductory APR has ended, and since the card doesn't include a rewards program, it's not just sitting in your wallet because you do not want to use it. It's one of those scenarios where it's just a lot better to try to upgrade or downgrade for that matter. I mean, you can't downgrade the Bank of America card, but you can upgrade it, and it will really help you actually get the specific juice that you need from the card in the first place. So this is something to really think about. And one thing I want to say here is that when we talk about upgrading or downgrading, everything depends upon your situation and in terms of what you want to do, right? I mean, going back to the earlier example that I just gave you, rather than close the Bank of America card, you could request a product change to Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, which basically offers a competitive rates of cash back in a category of your choice, as well as on groceries and wholesale club purchases. It's one of those things, again, you have to see your situation and see your account standing with Bank of America. Also, keep in mind that your rewards balance will carry over to the new card, though Bank of America encourages all cardholders, including you, to use up their rewards before upgrading or downgrading. So it's one of those things where you have to see your situation. Just imagine that you are transitioning to a new sort of card that has its own perks and benefits. So you have to really adapt. So by opting to get a product change, you will ensure that all the cards in your wallet are working to your best advantage without suffering a ding to your credit score. And the bottom line here also is that you can also ask Bank of America which cards they recommend to you. So instead of you actually going through the gazillions Bank of America credit cards and choosing the one that really best suits you, again, going back to what I said about going to a branch and having a conversation with a rep, you can just ask the question point blank and ask them what kind of card do they recommend to you based on your situation. I mean, if you're married, if you're single, if you have kids, if you have no kids, if you eat out often, if you travel often, if you travel for business, if you travel for leisure, based on your lifestyle, you can have a customer service rep tell you exactly which card can be applicable to your situation and really help you optimize your lifestyle. And one thing I want to say also is that when we sorry about this. So when we talk about Bank of America, we are speaking about having a process that really helps you not only improve your financial situation, but also making sure that you are racking up the benefits that you really need. Okay, it's one of those things where you have to constantly see what works for you and what works for you based on your changing situation, on your changing lifestyle. And again, going back to what I said earlier, you can just go to a branch, have a conversation with a rep, and ask all questions. Let me give you a few pro tips before we close to this conversation here. So when we talk about Bank of America product change, how to do it right, there are actually tips that you can really implement right now for making the most of your upgrade or downgrade. It's one of those things where you have to see what really works, but everything starts with timing. Okay, so you really want to request a downgrade before your annual fee posts to avoid paying for a card you will not be using. So request a downgrade before your annual fee posts to avoid paying for a card you will not be using. I mean, maybe you got the card in the past and the card had great perks, maybe a lower APR and or it has a balance transfer offer, and you've actually used up the balance transfer actually for 9 months or 10 months, and now you do not want to use it anymore. So it's one of those cases where requesting a downgrade real quick can help you. Be sure to carefully read the terms and conditions for the card you would like to switch to before requesting an upgrade or downgrade. It's all about reading the fine prints, okay? I mean, nobody loves reading fine prints, but I mean, those fine prints are there for a reason. I mean, it's one of those things where banks are pretty adamant and making sure that they actually comply with those fine prints. And fine prints are usually there to sort of favor the bank. So you want to read it. You want to read those fine prints and see if they favor you also. And before applying for a new credit card, make sure there is not a Bank of America card available that suits your needs. And you might be able to avoid a new account and a hard pull on your credit by opting for a product change instead. So product change can really help you out in terms of making sure you are really preserving your FICO score in the long run. Okay, so long story short, if you are considering canceling your Bank of America card, you might want to think twice, because doing so can harm your credit score, and the issuer might offer another product that better suits your needs. And basically, it's one of those things where if you do it right, if you, especially when it comes to timing, if you time the request properly, you are able to gain access to a better card quickly than if you were to apply for a new card altogether. So this is kind of cool, and this is something you might want to think about really soon. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. Let's quickly do a recap here. So I spoke to you today about Bank of America product change, how to do it right. So I gave you the overview, the steps, the bonus, the pro tips, and now the recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.